Eric Arthur Blair, better known by the literary pseudonym of George Orwell, was an English novelist, essayist, journalist, and critic. His work is marked by lucid force, awareness of social injustice, opposition to totalism, and commitment to the democratic socialism.
He was born on the 25th June 1903 in Motihari, Bihar, in British India, where he spent his first days. His mother brought him and his older sister, Marjorie, to England about a year after his birth and settled in Henley-on-Thames.
Orwell was later sent to a boarding school, which he hated, and where he got his first taste of England's class system. He also won scholarships to Wellington College and Eton College to continue his studies. Later, Orwell joined the Indian Imperial Police in Burma, then a British colony, and finally he resigned in 1927 and decided to become a writer.
Orwell is well known for his literary criticism, poetry, fiction, and polemical journalism. He has gained worldwide acknowledgement for his dystopian novel 1984 and the allegorical novel Animal Farm in 1945.
His book Homage to Catalonia is widely acclaimed, as are his numerous essays on politics, literature, language, and culture. In 2008, The Times ranked him second on a list of the 50 greatest British writers since 1945.
Orwell was diagnosed as having tuberculosis in December 1947, and finally he was died on the 21st of January 1950. Well, now my classmates and me will tell you about some of his most interesting books.
Homage to Catalonia is a book whose author, George Orwell, tells us about his personal experience on the Spanish Civil War in the years 1946 and 1947. In resume, Orwell arrived to Catalonia for helping the Republican faction against the National Fascist faction. The author gives us information about he and the people who were with him. He joined the POUM, a political party of the Republican side. Then he had different experiences between the interactions of the different parties of the Republican side. In the book, the author introduces us in how was the Spanish Civil War, but in a different way, because it's based on the social revolution of anarchism that was in Catalonia and Aragon in those years. The most interesting point of the book is that it's writing in a way that no one had seen it before. Based on his own experiences, he describes us the daily life of the soldiers, the cold, the descriptions of the arms, the lack of the religiosity. Make this book a real autobiography of the Spanish Civil War. Very recommended.
Now I'm gonna talk about 1984. 1984 is a dystopian novel written by George Orwell. It talks about the daily life of Winston Smith, who is a low-ranking member of the party, an organization who created Big Brother. Big Brother is a ominous ruler and controls every aspect of people's life. It controls what they speak, what they see, what they hear. Winston is tired of following these rules and begins a rebellion against the party with his lover, Julie. The novel wants to warning us and to show us that a dictatorial government is a possible thing, that it can be happen in the future, and wants to show us the importance of resisting mass control and oppression.
The Road to Wigan Pier by George Orwell was published in 1937. It consists of two distinct parts. The first half of this work documents his sociological investigation of the bleak living conditions among the working class in Lancashire and Yorkshire in the industrial north of England before World War II. The second half is a long essay of his middle-class upbringing and the development of his political conscience, questioning British attitude towards socialism. This will be Orwell's last book, where he will set out his political thoughts in contrast to Homage to Catalonia, where he will attempt to convey the feelings and sensations transmitted to him by political positioning without having to make such a complex political discourse. This work will also definitely place him as a reference writer for democratic socialism.
Keep the Spirits of Flying is a 1936 novel. The book is a social critique set in the 1930s. The story tells us about the main character, Gordon Comstock, and his main goal, to fight the main things that society is doing, glorify money and status. Comstock tries to keep himself hiding from the selfish world. Several bad things subsequently happen to him, leading to the major conflict of the story. Gordon is a frustrated poet who acts without thinking about the consequences. After he rejects a well-paid job as a publicist, he accepts a job in a library in London that allows him to keep his ideals. Working at a not well-paid job, being now in the British middle class, he discovers that not everyone in society lives comfortable. When the relationship with his family, friends, and wife starts to get horrible because he is running out of money, he discovers a life lesson. It's good to have ideals as long as you don't put them in practice.
I chose the Animal Farm book of George Orwell. The animals from a farm make a revolution because they get tired of the farmer and they establish 7 unbreakable rules that they write on a wall. Wherever it goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Wherever it goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall kill any other animal. All animals are equal. The farm was working properly and even better than when the farmer was controlling it. The pigs took control of the farm because they were intelligent, but 2 of them got on a fight for power and 1 of them had to leave the place. Then the winner of the fight proclaims himself as a leader and the other pigs became an important figure in the farm. Meanwhile, the other animals have to follow the orders of the leader pig. The pigs start to make the same bad habits as the human did and the 7 rules start to get modified. The whole story is an allegory for the real world, more specifically the communist Russia.
Burmese Days is the first novel by English writer George Orwell, published in 1934, set in British Burma during the days of empire, when Burma was ruled by Delhi, as a part of British India. It is a portrait of the dark side of the British Raj. The novel describes both ingenious corruption and imperial bigotry in a society where, after all, natives are natives. Interesting, no doubt, but finally an inferior people. And finally, the book earned a lot of publications in a diaries or something like this.